While the Black Adam hype and excitement reaches fever pitch, and nobody, not Humberto Gonzalez or anybody else, is going to ruin that excitement for me or true DC fans, we must talk about the Flash movie and whether it's still going to reset the DC Extended Universe. I think it's pretty clear it's not going to give us the new timeline that Walter Hamada was developing and which was set up in the Batgirl movie. One of many reasons the Batgirl movie was shelved. But I still believe the Flash movie will reset the DC Extended Universe, but in slight ways. I think that movie will decanonize Zack Snyder's Justice League and Justice League from the DC Extended Universe canon. Yes, both movies, not just one of them. I don't think either movie can remain canon, and here's why. Justice League, pretty much, and Aquaman are from the same universe. It's pretty much, those two movies are canon with each other. Mira in the Snyder Cut has a very posh accent. They had Amber speaking a lot more refined British, with a refined British accent. And obviously in Justice League and Aquaman, her accent's more Americanized. So that's a little difference, not a big deal. But there's already inconsistencies there. Now, the Shazam movie went to embrace the Snyderverse with different Easter eggs, didn't it? Which was fun and great. But the Superman we saw had a blue and red suit on and not the black suit. There are so many inconsistencies with Justice League and the Snyder Cut in the extended DC universe. So you must decanonize both movies. I know I'm not going to win any friends for saying this. You know, I should be saying, you know, make the Snyder Cut canon. The Snyder Cut's canon to BVS and MOS, but it isn't really truly canon to anything else. And Justice League is so inconsistent with its canonization that that can't be canon either. So I think it's like getting two kids who are arguing and banging their heads together. And this is what has to happen with both versions of the Justice League. Just decanonize them. It kills the conversation dead forever. And when we get to the second part of this video, I want to talk about Zack Snyder's DC legacy and the future, and what I think that DC legacy and future is going to be. But yeah, I do believe the Flash movie is going to reset the DCEU, but just in a very, very different way. And I think that still needs to happen. Now, Black Adam's going to be a very interesting movie because I think they've probably reworked certain elements of it to kind of tell you this is going to be, we're setting up the next chapter for the DCEU, because we know Amelia Harcourt and Task Force X abduct Black Adam at the end of this movie originally. Have they kept that? Have they cut it out? We'll find out in a few weeks' time. Again, very, very exciting, and I'm anticipating going to the theatre and finding out and answering all these questions. Will Henry Cavill be in the movie? A little part in the movie. We'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, I think, look, it's pretty weird. The DCEU is this reviled franchise, but when you think about all the projects coming up, the films that they've made, it's very weird because they're exciting movies. And they're probably really good comic book superhero movies as well. I think Black Adam's going to be epic. I think Shazam! Fury of the Gods is going to be highly entertaining, especially for families, children, parents, all of that demographic. That's going to be fun. Then you've got Blue Beetle, the Flash movie, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. These are movies that sound amazing and are amazing. So it's a weird situation with the DCEU where you've got this weird little franchise which has these canonical inconsistencies thanks to them making two Justice League movies, which is all based on the same thing. They've both got the same story in those Justice League movies, but it's inconsistent when you look at the other films. And we're not talking about BVS and we're not talking about Man of Steel. We're talking about the other films after Justice League and even after the Snyder Cut. There's too many inconsistencies here. So what does Black Adam do, for example? Give Superman the red and blue costume or give Superman the black costume? It's a lose-lose situation. Because if he doesn't have the red and blue, some people are going to kind of complain because he's not wearing the iconic red and blue. If he's not wearing the black, people are going to complain. Snyder fans are going to complain that they're not continuing the canon. So there's no way you can win with this. So what if he wears the black suit? Does that mean they're restoring the Snyderverse? Well, of course it fucking does. Or does it? Does it? Are they just being respectful? Well, if he's wearing the black suit, then surely they're going to go for the whole, you know, Justice League 2 vibe and Justice League 3 vibe, and Zack would have to be involved in that. Surely. If he wears the... Look, this is what I'm saying. If he wears the black suit, they're restoring the Snyderverse. If he wears the red and blue suit, they're not restoring the Snyderverse. It's simple as that. I think they're going to deal with these things in the Flash movie. Now, we've heard lots of rumours about reshoots for the Flash movie, and the past couple of days, Gal Gadot, Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill have all been photographed in LA, Hollywood, California. Now, none of these people live in California, not Ben Affleck. Gal lives in Israel. Henry lives in the UK, and most of his jobs are based in the UK. So it looks like reshoots are happening. This could be for Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, the Flash movie itself, maybe even Blue Beetle. Who knows? One thing's for sure. They are moving forward with Zack's characterizations, with Zack's actors as these iconic heroes. There's no point in changing them if you don't have to. So they will continue to play these roles for the next few years. So they're going full speed ahead with the DC Extended Universe. What Zaslav wants to do and what the new DC Studios president will want to do is get things on an even, you know, an even kill, an even footing. And this is why I think you've got to decanonize both Justice League movies. Again, some people say, Mick, you can't say that. Look, it's just my opinion. I'm not trying to be toxic. Genuinely, I'm not trying to trigger anyone here. It's just how I feel. If you want a consistent franchise and you want it to be disfranchised with Cavill, you know, Gadot, you know, Affleck and all these actors and Ezra Miller, Jason Momoa, then you have to fix things a little bit. And the perfect time to fix all of this is in the Flash movie, where they're pretty much doing Flashpoint. It's perfect, and I think they're still going to do Flashpoint, where they can kind of say after Barry comes back from Flashpoint and resets Earth 1, we can see a few changes. Maybe the Justice League never got together. Maybe all of that didn't happen at all. Again, that's going to upset some people, but maybe when Barry comes back, there's a new Justice League. And, you know, there's the Hall of Justice, and he walks in it, and he sees all these Justice League members, but Ben, Henry's there, Gal's there, they've got a Green Lantern, they've got a Green Arrow. It's already all set up. It's there. It's ready. It's shiny. It's ready to go in the future. I think this is something they could do. This is something I spoke about a year or so ago on my live, where I said, wouldn't it be amazing if when Barry fixes Earth 1 and he comes back, that he walks there and there's a Hall of Justice, right? There's a watchtower. He walks in it and there's a Justice League there. And there's not a Justice League. Well, there is a Justice League, but it isn't fully formed. They're at the beginning of their, you know, of their team. But when Barry comes back, that it's all ready to go. He's literally walking into the Justice League of the animated series, where it's all there. There's levels to the Hall of Justice. It's got 3 or 4 floors. There's 30, 40 heroes as part of this team. Wouldn't that be an amazing resolution to the Flash movie? And I think you can reset the universe in a very clever way in that element where you're using Snyder's actors, but you're not using Snyder. Maybe. As I say, I believe if we do get this Cavill cameo, I'm not convinced that Henry Cavill is in Black Adam. I'm desperate for him to be in it, for me, for you, for everyone, because everyone set their hopes on it. The problem here is Snyderverse fans are setting their hopes on the black costume, and, you know, diehard suit comic book fans have got their sights set on the blue and red. Someone's going to lose out here, and Snyderverse fans will lose out if it's a blue and red costume, because that means the Snyderverse is done. Not only do I think they're going to give us a mini new timeline or make a few changes with the Flash movie, but not have the Walter Hamada brand new timeline, and it'll be interesting. Will Supergirl be part of this new timeline, played by Sasha Calle? Originally, yes, that's what I saw in the test screening. When he comes back from Flashpoint, she's part of the new timeline. And so is Michael Keaton's Bruce Wayne, aka Batman. Will those things still stand? Maybe we'll have a couple of Batmen in the DC Extended Universe. And in terms of box office, this is a good idea because, you know, you could have the Battle of the Batmen. There's lots of different things. You could even have multiple Jokers in the DCEU. That's something interesting. You could have one from the Batman universe. You could have the one from, you can have Joaquin Phoenix's one, and you could have Jared Leto's one, because there are comic book stories of many Jokers coming together. So there are some interesting situations, but they may not do that. But they're definitely going to reset some things, and I think they will decanonize both Justice League movies, excuse me. Lost the element, the ability to speak there for a minute. So that's what I think they're going to do. So I think they're with Gadot and Cavill and Affleck around California right now, something is certainly going on. And I think they're going to reset the DCEU in small ways just to set it along its way. Now, I want to talk about Zack Snyder's DC legacy, because as far as I'm concerned, it's a great legacy, everyone. Man of Steel, BVS, the Snyder Cut. 3 great, unique movies that no one will ever make in the DC universe. Now, right now, Zack Snyder is making his Rebel Moon franchise with Netflix. Now, Zack Snyder's Netflix contract, I think, comes to an end at the end of this year or something like that. Now, again, a lot of Snyder fans are pinning their hopes on him maybe signing up with WB after this. There's an issue there, because it's all about the success or failure of Rebel Moon. I don't think Rebel Moon's going to fail. I think Rebel Moon is going to explode. It's going to be the biggest franchise in the past 20 or 30 years. I think it's going to hit big for Zack and Netflix. If Rebel Moon is successful, Zack will automatically re-sign an extension to his Netflix contract, and he's suddenly going to get very busy doing spin-offs and sequels and all of that. And the success of Rebel Moon is really going to hurt Lucasfilm, because he pitched Rebel Moon as a Star Wars story, a spin-off, a movie, a series, whatever. I'm still not clear whether he pitched this to George Lucas before he sold out to Disney. Yes, I'm calling it a sellout, George. You made a huge mistake, which you now know. Or if the pitch was kind of refused by Kathleen Kennedy and Disney Star Wars. We'll never know. But they're going to regret rejecting Zack's Rebel Moon Star Wars pitch. Now, this is not Star Wars anymore, but it's certainly inspired by Star Wars. So if Rebel Moon is successful, which I believe it will be, Zack will be too busy with all the stuff he's doing with Netflix. Personally, if I was Zack, as much as he loves the DC characters, I would stick with Netflix. Netflix and Zack are the perfect partnership. Netflix don't interfere. If you're successful with your creative freedom and your vision, they'll leave you the fuck alone, like they've done with Rian Johnson and the Knives Out franchise. So Zack's spending a lot of Netflix money on this project, so it does need to be successful. And I think it's interesting, because I think his Netflix contract runs out before Rebel Moon's released. Don't forget, there's 2 Rebel Moon movies. Successful, I think he's done with DC. I mean, listen, of course, if he's got the opportunity to return to DC, he can, of course, juggle both balls. But it will be difficult for Zack to, do a Justice League 2 and a Justice League 3 and things like that. Because at the end of the day, Rebel Moon is a huge project to be part of. And doing Justice League movies, takes all of your energy. He can only do one or the other. He can't do both, from where I sit and my experiences of how you make movies as a director. You've got to be there all the time. Now, he can try and do both, but I think it would be very difficult. And one, if not both, would be harmed by that situation. So I think the future of the DCEU is Zack Snyder's legacy, rather than Zack Snyder returning. Again, some of you may not like what I'm saying. I'm trying to be balanced here. I'm telling you that I love the guy and I love the guy's films, but you know, if Rebel Moon is successful, it's Rebel Moon all the way, baby, and it's Netflix all the way, baby. And he can do whatever he wants at Netflix, and he doesn't need to be micromanaged. He doesn't like being micromanaged, and we know that from Snyder. And this is where the problems lied with his DC Extended Universe and the bad relationship he had with Jeff Johns, Toby Emmerich, you know, Kevin Sujihara. It doesn't work at a studio like WB because they are going to micromanage you because they're saying it's our fucking money. We're a mainstream studio. If we fail, it's us that look bad, not you. And that's the situation there. But with Rebel Moon, it's his. And he can create and do something special. And so, yeah, going forward, I can see Zack Snyder's kind of DC Extended Universe legacy being a thing. As part of the DCEU, his actors will remain in said roles, but he won't be involved. That's how I see things if Rebel Moon is successful, and we'll have to wait and see. So it will be very interesting what colour suit Henry Cavill will wear in his Black Adam cameo, if he indeed does cameo in Black Adam. And I think that's Zack Snyder's legacy. The actors that he cast, because most of them are perfect. I don't think Ezra Miller's perfect, but I still think he's a really good, solid version of Barry Allen and The Flash. And for consistency purposes, I'd like to see him carry on and put his past behind him. I really do. And, you know, I do believe in forgiveness. I want to be forgiven when I do things wrong. Like everyone else, I go the wrong direction sometimes. We all do. And we all need forgiveness in this well. So I can see the DCEU now going from strength to strength. I can see Black Adam being successful and all the other upcoming DCEU movies being successful. And if the Flash movie does decanonize both Justice Leagues, that's very important as well. So very interesting if we go back to the colour of the costume in what Superman could potentially be wearing in Black Adam. That's, of course, how they shoot this cameo. Will it be a cameo where they darken the costume so we can't see what colour it is? Maybe we'll see Henry Cavill, a bit like what they did with Tom Welling's Superman sequences in the Smallville series finale, because Tom Welling always believed that Superman should never appear in Smallville. That's what he believed. That was his opinion, and he stuck with it. So what you see in the Smallville series finale, you see the cape flapping about, but when he's in space, he's wearing a Superman costume, that's obvious. But you mainly see here his head up to his neck. This is something they may do. They may darken the costume so you can't see the colour of it, so they can make their decisions or reveal what they're going to do in the Flash movie. And I think this is where we're going. The DCEU continuing, resetting a few things, but continuing Zack Snyder's legacy. So whether we restore the Snyderverse or not, Zack Snyder's legacy will be safe within the future of the DCEU. This has been Movies TV Mad. I'm Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss this beautiful perfection. And I'll see you again in the next video. Until I see you again, goodbye, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen.